Now, on behalf of the Humanist International, it is my pleasure to introduce Leonel Gonçalves, member of the Associação República e Laicidade in Portugal. Mr. Gonçalves is an experienced advocate for secularism and human rights, working actively to promote inclusive and equitable policies across Europe. His work focuses on fostering dialogue between diverse communities and ensuring that social policies, including those related to housing, upholding principle of equality, freedom of conscience, and respect for all citizens. So I look forward to hearing his insights on how secular and humanist perspectives can contribute to addressing the housing crisis and in building inclusive communities. Mr. Gonçalves.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone here. I'm not going to repeat the problem definition that we have all heard here already, and I'm not going to repeat the diagnose. My principles, the principles of my organization, have already been presented here. I have chosen to talk to you about a case study that, as a sociologist, I carried out recently, and which I believe is significant and may help us identify new solutions. And this is a case study about a community that has surprisingly settled in a very remote part of Portugal. The housing crisis in Portugal is extremely acute. I believe that in certain parts of the European Union, the housing crisis is more severe than in others, and I think that in Portugal, and particularly in the urban areas of Lisbon and Porto, and in the centres of these areas, it has become extremely acute recently. Prices are exorbitant for the average local, and the young life has become untenable. Now, surprisingly, in a place called Penamacor, which is a village in the mountains of Portugal, close to the border with Spain, far away from this pressure of the cities where this crisis is more severe, recently a new community has settled and has grown and developed and has really rejuvenated this village and this area. In this particular municipality, the population, which once had risen to 19,000 people in 1950, was now, in 2021, only less than 5,000. And in 2016, a trickle of British nationals started settling in this very remote area. And they are now more than 10% of the local population. There are more than 450 people there of British nationality. Now, 2016, as you remember, is the year of Brexit, of the Brexit referendum. And this is probably the main reason why this happened. However, this trend continued, the community continued to develop. After the British, other nationalities who found out about this community started settling in, and the number of foreigners has continually grown. And really, what has triggered this movement was not only the need to flee Brexit, of course, and to stay within the European Union for these people, but the availability of cheap housing. This was the crucial thing. And why? Why was there a lot of available housing? Because, of course, this area had been abandoned by the population. This was virtually a deserted area. There were only very old people who hadn't been able to move from there. And all the homesteads and farms in this area had been abandoned. They were left empty and derelict, and they were very cheap to buy and very cheap to renovate. And they were attractive to people who wanted to flee the pressure of this increasing price in places like London, but also in other European cities. We now have lots of people from Denmark, from Sweden, from Germany living in this community as well. And the most interesting thing, I think this is really interesting, is that the local community obviously enjoyed the fact that these new people came in because there was a rejuvenation. The local municipality has embraced this movement and has supported it. And we now have 20% of all the pupils in the elementary and secondary school in this place, where there were virtually no children before. We now have full operating schools where 20% of the pupils are of foreign nationalities. And we are even offering in this municipality a syllabus in English, and soon there will be a syllabus in French, le baccalauréat, because there is now a significant community speaking French as well. Because, of course, for them, for the local community, for the mayor, for the municipalities, this was extremely interesting, right? Now, I have identified as a sociologist that this movement is now occurring in other places throughout Portugal, in the remote areas. I know that it is also happening in certain areas of Spain, namely in the province of Teruel in Aragon, which is extremely interesting because these areas were completely devoid of population, of young, working-age population. And that there are new communities settling there really is something that we need to embrace and support. The houses are there. They're not even in the real estate market right now because they are considered ruins or derelict houses, but they are extremely cheap to buy. There are many of them. In Portugal, I have identified that there are more than 500,000 of these houses available for renovation and for easy purchase. And what I think is interesting is that policymakers and decision makers may pick up this idea, because if we really create the conditions and support this trend and transform the trend into a shift, into a cultural shift, and relieve the pressure from the large cities by incentivizing parts of the population with new values who can work online, because of course these areas are covered by the internet nowadays. It's very easy to work from these places and to be in permanent connection with any other parts of the world. So to incentivize this movement is, I think, an ideal policy to follow. So this is an idea that I wanted to leave here. I think that it's obviously a local thing, but one which can be changed into a more multiplied policy, and one which can be picked up by governments in other countries and by the European Union. That was it. Thank you.